stellar group of presenters today and people joining from all over the world and different time zones to this virtual event that we're having today for everything you ever wanted to know about SOQL. We're your hosts, the co-leaders of the Cleveland Developer Group, Linda Kane and myself, Orlando Briseño. First of all, we have some housekeeping things to mention before we start. To preserve bandwidth, we're not gonna be on camera. Ask any questions in the chat. We will compile those in a document, and we'll try to answer those, and we'll be sending those answers away. And the presentation will be recorded. There will be breaks between one presentation and the next, and we will include all these materials in follow-up emails. So our first speaker, Houssam Saoudy. He's super famous in the Salesforce tweetosphere. A very international MVP, the founder of North Africa Dreaming. He's the developer group lead of Casablanca, Morocco, and he'll be presenting the topic. If you can create reports, then you can write SOQL queries. So with this, Houssam, it's all yours. Take it away.
Thank you. So I will share my screen. You should stop your sharing your screen. I think you can see now my screen, right?
Yes, we can see your screen.
So let's start. So ladies and gentlemen, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome. Today we are going to learn together about SOQL queries. This is the presentation where you became all-powerful in Salesforce. We are about to experience a huge power of Spike. So let's start and join me as we will discuss about if you can create reports, then you can write SOQL queries. Before we start, let's talk about my favorite topic, me, myself, and I. So for people who don't know me, I'm Houssam from Casablanca, Morocco. And when I was a child, I had a dream to be a teacher of French language. I was the student who always received the top grade in the class. And when I took my bachelor, my parents advised me to study economics. But I had another visions. I wanted to be a computer scientist because I didn't have a computer at home. It was not easy at first, but after a few months, I became the students who received the top grade in the class. After 2 years of studies, I remember I took my first diploma as an IT developer, and I was only 20 years old. When I took my first diploma, I still had two choices: continue my studies or work in a company to earn money. Both were important to me. I remember clearly I thought about it during the holidays, and I chose after to work, but also to continue my studies for 3 years in the evening and on weekends. It was the hardest 3 years of my life that I will never forget. I started my work in the morning at 8 a.m. and I finished at 6 p.m. and I took transportation to go to school for studies. And you can imagine how hard it was for me. After 3 years, I finally finished my studies. And when I finished my studies, I searched for a new job and new opportunities. Then I got an opportunity with an agency who just want to start to use Salesforce. It was difficult to accept the challenge because I was unfamiliar with Salesforce. So I did some online research and I decided to accept the challenge. Yeah, and it wasn't easy to learn Salesforce in 2014 because I just started to discover this technology, but it should have been. There was plenty of documentation online, but not like Trailhead platform like today. It was not easy for me and for my colleague to improve our level quickly. That's why we launched the Casablanca Developer Group in 2015. In 2018, I remember I was enabled to attend the Salesforce Belgium Base Camp and also Dreamforce. It was not easy for me to accept that in this period. I remember, and I see a big gap in my region, and I wanted to fill it. And I wanted to host a base camp, but I noticed that event will be hosted just with Salesforce. For this reason, we launched North Africa Dreaming, the first conference, Salesforce conference in Africa. So, and today I'm a Lightning champion, Salesforce MVP 2 times, and I have a lot of certification in my belt. So if you want to follow me on Twitter, feel free to follow me and say hello to me. So now let's talk about SOQL queries. Here is an overview of what we will be learning during this session. First, I will give you the rundown on SOQL, what it is, why we use it, and where you can practice writing it. Once you understand the use cases of SOQL, we are going to move on and learn the basics of SOQL language, how to write simple queries, how to filter your queries, and how to organize the results of your queries. Then we will move into writing some advanced SOQL queries, because I know there are another presentation about advanced SOQL queries. And we can start writing some advanced SOQL queries by the end of these 3 sessions. And lastly, we will round it off with some exercises to practice what we will learn today. So what is SOQL? So it's not as scary as you think. And if we want to simplify what is SOQL, SOQL is like a Google search for your Salesforce org. That's it. Using SOQL, you can programmatically search in your org for any records or settings. For example, we might want to use SOQL to search in our Salesforce org to see if we had Houssam like a contact in our org. So you can ask our org. And if he is in our org, our SOQL query will return a result for me. Similarly, we can use SOQL to search our org for all opportunities created today. And our SOQL query will return as all possible results. That's it. And now let's talk about the definition about SOQL. SOQL, it's a language to find any record in your Salesforce org. And if we want to break this down, the S in SOQL stands for Salesforce because it's a language made specifically for Salesforce. And if you've worked with other databases before, uh, uh, like uh, like SQL, it's not Salesforce. And the O for the objects because it's the most important part of our Salesforce org, and we have three type of objects: standard, custom, and hidden objects. We don't have just two; we have three. The Q and the L stands for query language because SOQL it's a language for asking a question. And yes, it's a programming language, which means there is a specific syntax and grammar to how to write SOQL. And yes, creating SOQL queries, it's similar to creating a report. And we can notice that today. So every admin and also developer know how to run a report. So when you want to create a report, you start answering two questions. For instance, what fields do I want to display, or where are those fields located? So this is two questions you ask. So the report will it's the same thing in SOQL queries. And for admins, they know, and developer, they know the report builder. It's a great tool for answering business questions. But SOQL lets you act on your data directly. Writing SOQL queries isn't at all hard, especially since you can write them using the same logic you use to build the report criteria. And yes, today we will show you how to write SOQL, what SOQL actually is. So admin know how to write also formulas. So they can also write relationship between two objects or more. Now let's make a comparison between SOQL and Salesforce reporting. SOQL it's a quicker, SOQL is a more powerful, and with SOQL we can communicate with Apex. But each have their own advantages, right? So first of all, SOQL runs quicker than Salesforce report. That's because SOQL it's like the pure version of Salesforce reporting. It doesn't have a lot of overhead that Salesforce reporting has, just as drag and drop UI. And if you have ever worked in Salesforce org with a lot of records, you can know how frustrating it can be to have your Salesforce reports timeout. And these things happen far less often with SOQL. SOQL it's more powerful than Salesforce reports. What I mean is you always come across limitation in Salesforce reporting. For example, with Salesforce reports, I think, I'm not sure, but I think you can only return 2,000 rows before you need to export your CSV. But with SOQL, we don't have this problem. So we start to answer why we should use SOQL. And if we want to recapitulate that, sometimes maybe you need to look at a cross section of data quickly, or see data from multiple objects at one, and also traverse relationships without creating a new report type. And also you can export data with CSV, and you can talk with code. All right, so now let's see where we can write SOQL queries. We can write our SOQL queries with a lot of tools. I just want to present for you 2 tools, and you will discover another tools today in the second presentation. So the first one, it's Workbench, and the advantage is you can work with Workbench without any installation required, and you can work also with Developer Console without installation. So for developer, they know already console developer. So what is Workbench? It's an easy export CSV function. We can write easy export and have CSV function, and you can use point and click to write your queries, and you can export and import without leaving the tool. And if you want to search about the developer name, you can use also Workbench. So this is some advantages of Workbench. For Developer Console, it's you can work with Salesforce Console to write your queries, and it's easy access from with Salesforce, and you can have your query history saves version with your session, and you can go directly to Salesforce record from the results. And now let's start to discover SOQL, the syntax of the SOQL. So how to write a SOQL query? As I said, creating SOQL queries is similar to creating a report. And you should only answer 2 questions. What fields do I want to display? Where are those fields are located? So you ask the same questions when you create a SOQL query. That's it. And in a query, the answer of these questions are the fields and the objects. In this example, and this query contains SOQL keywords, 2 SOQL keywords, select and from. And another other records field like field 1, field 2, field 3, and field etc. And we have also the object name. So now let's start to write a SOQL query. If we want, for example, show the first name, we can write our query like select first name. If we want to display also last name, it's simple. We can just add comma last name. If we want to display other fields, it's the same. And this query show me my first name, last name, birthday, and email. And I think you know now the name of this object. It's contacts. So we replace object name with our object. So in this case, it's contact. You can write your SOQL query in different ways, in line, with upper cases or lower cases. But the good method is the first one. So let's select ID, and I put from in the bottom from contact, etc. So as I said, you can write this query in Workbench. So you just need to write your SOQL here, queries, and click here query, and you can receive your results right here. So as I said, it's like a report. The advantage, it's more quicker, and we don't create a report type. That's it. And if you want to find the field name for your your API name for your field, you can use Object Manager and select field and relationship, and you can find the field name right here. So you should use not your label, but only your field name, the API name. So I have an example for you. Donc, in this example, we will show the ID, the stage name, the created date, amount, and the probability from opportunity objects. And we can see in my example, I can use different type of field like pick list, date, currency, percentage, etc. So now let's start to discover how to filter our SOQL queries. So I have my first example is I will show the list of contacts, and the mailing city is Cleveland. So I will write my query, and I put my condition with this block where, and I put the field main city equal Cleveland. So this example will show me all contacts in my org who had the mailing city equal Cleveland. So this is the first example. My second example, I will use in. So if if I want to show a lot of results, and the condition is Casablanca and Cleveland. So I can write my query, and I put two value in. So here I put here is the name of the field, and here is the two value who I look for. Another example, if we want to filter and I want to show all contacts who don't live in Casablanca and Cleveland. So we just need to write and edit this condition, not in. That's it. Another way to filter in our queries, it's like, so for example, if I want to show all contacts who had an email, a Gmail, so I will write our SOQL query, and I put here my condition like percentage gmail.com. So if we put the percentage at the beginning, so I ask Salesforce to show me all the results finished with this value. if I put the percentage at the end, the meaning will be changed. So in this example, it's not correct because I will search for all emails that start with gmail.com. If we want to show all contacts with a function like a manager, we can put percentage at the beginning, at the end. So for example, if I have a sales manager, marketing manager, and lots of managers. So, and for me, I want just to show all managers. I need just to put percentage at the beginning and at the end. That's it. Now, let's discover another way to filter. If I want to show all contacts who her billing country, it's different to the US. I just need to use this syntax. So, for example, if I have contacts from who had billing country like Morocco, Spain, France, Algeria, etc. So I will receive a result. Here another example with the less than. For example, if I want to show, for example, a query with if I have annual revenue in this object. So normally we have annual revenue in account, not in contact. But let's imagine we have this field in this object. For example, if I want to show all annual revenue less than 1 million, I can put this query, this syntax. And here, an example, if we want to make a condition with greater than or equal. So my query will be a select ID name from account where annual revenue greater than or equal 1 million. If we want to write both criteria, we can also do it with the SOQL query. We just need to write our query, and in where block we can add, for example, mailing city equal Cleveland and email different null. So if I don't have a value in email, we don't receive a result. That's it. We can define the order of our operation also. For example, if I have a lot of condition, we can put them like here. For example, select ID from email, and we put this syntax annual revenue. We put our first condition and our second condition. So if I have this condition true, this block will return for me true. So I need just, if annual revenue it's more than 1 million, all this query will return true. And the second condition, for example, billing country equal US and billing state difference California. So if I want to receive and show queries, I need to have true here and true here. So if I have true and I have false here, I can't see anything. We can also organize our SOQL results with order by, and we put desk or ask, and that's mean we will change the order of our account result. We can also limit our results with this syntax limit. For example, if I want to show the top 100 accounts with top 100 annual revenue, I should write our query and make an order by desk, and we can limit our query. Now let's start to discover some date literals. For example, we have some function in SOQL like yesterday, today, tomorrow, last week, this week, next week, last month, this month, and next month, etc. For example, if I want to receive and to show for just all accounts were created yesterday, my query will be select ID from account where created date equal yesterday. If I want, for example, to see just all cases who I created today, I need just to write my query like that, select ID from case where created date equal today. That's it. And we have another function. For example, if we need to see all accounts who were created for last 2 months, we have this function, last in days, and we can put our value here to receive our results. And we have another others function. You can discover them on a Trailhead. But the most important function, I think, for me, is those function. Let's start to understand some relationship. So before we talk about cross-object queries, you need to understand how relationships work in Salesforce. And let's start with the opportunity object. An opportunity is related to an account object, and the relationships in Salesforce are made when there is a lookup or master detail relationship field from one object to another. In this case, the opportunity object has a lookup field that points to the account object, and the field is called account ID because the connection field exists on the opportunity object. Let's see now if we just want to discover and see the opportunity field. My query will be select ID, amount, stage name from opportunity. So I will show only 3 fields in this object. And if I need also to have and to show, for example, account name and industry name, my query will change like that. So I put account and I remove ID, and my query will be select ID, comma, amount, comma, stage name, comma, account dot name, comma, account dot industry from opportunity. This is an example how to write SOQL query with the relationship. And this example, it is with the standard object. And if we want to put condition, we can put with, my condition with the block where, for example, if I want to show account name and account industry, and the condition, the industry will be energy, we can put our condition here. So this is an example how to query parent data for standard objects. If I have another example with custom objects, so we need just to write our SOQL query. For example, if I have another object, custom object with relationship with opportunity, my query will change like that. So I will put select ID, amount, those fields I can find them in the opportunity object. And if I need to show also the goal, and this field is in the sales plan, I will change my query and I put my field sales plan to underscore R. So I will change the C with R relation, that goal. And don't forget to put underscore here. And if I have a condition, it's the same. And now let's discover query child with the data standard object. We can write our query like that, select ID name, and I put my query here if I want to show all contact related to an account. And this example is with the standard object. If I have a custom object, we can change our query. As I said, don't forget to use R at the end of your object. So I will, okay. So let's start discover quickly some grouping SOQL results. For example, if we want to calculate the sum of all amounts of each stage, we can put sum in our query. If we need to show only the mean less expected revenue, we can use min function. And this example, select stage name, comma, mean expected revenue from opportunity where, and I put here my condition. And don't forget to use group by if you want to receive a result with grouping by stage name. We have also max, so we can have received the top expected revenue, the maximum, and AVG if we want to receive and to show the average. We have this function. Count if we need to count how many how many record we have. So I think I'm good in my timing. Let's start to write and practice some exercise. So if you have, for example, your developer console, try to write with me those queries. If not, you can just write your queries in the chat. So let's start. So if, for example, I want to find the name and the email address for every contact, what is my query? Please, we can start to write this SOQL query in the chat. Okay, 1, 2, 3. So the result of my query is select name from email, where from email. That's it. Without select name from contact. Sorry, I have some mistakes here, but the query is select name from contact. If I want to find the ID and the name of every account with over 100 employees. So, and my employees, we can work with the contact object. Or account object, sorry. So if we need to show the ID and the name of every account with over 100 employee, our SOQL query will be like that: select ID, comma name from amount where number of employee written down 100. If we want to show the name of every contact whose job title is developer or consultant, my query will be like that. Select name from contact where title equal developer or title equal consultant. Let's see another example. If we want to find the birthday of all contacts born in the year 2010, my query will be like that. If you know, you can write your SOQL query in the chat. Okay. The result will be like that. Select birth date from contacts where birth date, and I put my true date and my true condition here. For example, if I want to show all contacts who is birthday, it's today. We can also put equal and replace this date with today. And now we want to find the name of all contacts with Salesforce developer job title who work for a company with over than 7,100 in annual revenue. So the query will be like that. So I put my first condition here, and I put my second condition here. And if we notice, I put here a relationship with an account, with account object. So account that annual revenue, and I put my value EC here. If we want to find the name of all contacts with developer in their job title, it's easy. So the query, it will be like that. Select name from contacts where title like percentage developer and percentage. So that's it for my presentation. Thank you. I think I'm on the good timing. And I will let you to discover the tool and the SAM advanced query in the two others presentations. So thank you.